Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Single Player Let's Play series. You may notice a little something missing here. Without y'all's feedback, which is this was completely my choice. I did decide to go ahead and remove the steam boiler and put it in a what's the mod? One of these guys, compact machines. You know that mod's been around for ages, and I only have in the last three or 4 years started using it, and so I just keep on wanting to say pocket dimensions, but that is not correct. Anyways, yeah, we've done some revamping, not really all that much. It's pretty clean, pretty crisp down here, but let me show you around. Everything down here has been cleaned up very nicely. You can see our alternator input is working just nicely, and we're putting through about 1200 FE per tick into this guy, and so most of the time our generators are not having to run. Let me make sure of that. I did end up silencing the generators a little bit, so let's make sure that the diesel generators are not running by just changing that to, like, I don't know, 10. So we'll hear them now if they do start to run, but they haven't been from what I can tell. If we go look at the boiler power gen that I now have made, this is what it looks like. And it is super compact. You can see that we've got one arm of our steam engine over here. Oh. That's not right, actually. Hang on. I wonder now if... I had 2 more alternators that I could not run, and I'm wondering if that was the result of an issue on my end or an issue elsewhere. So let's see. So, looks like I was missing a shaft. Oh, yeah, I was. And so now, if I were to disconnect that and put this down there instead, we are not overstressed. And then what if I did the same here? We are not overstressed. Okay, I was under the impression that we were overstressed, and so I had those 2 spare. But turns out that was all a lie, and that's a good lie. That's the kind of lie we want to hear, I guess. So let me hook up our flex plugs here to the front again, and so now we're actually producing more than we were before. We should be putting through about 1250, almost 1300. So if we take a look, and we'll do chunk loading and bypass limit. And we'll do the same over here, just in case. They shouldn't need to be chunk loaded. This area is chunk loaded up here with this chunk loader right there, but better safe than sorry. But yeah, you can see this entire setup has been made a lot smaller. I've got a pusher upgrade on this ender drawer, pushing stuff into this depot, so that has helped to save a lot of space. And then yeah, this guy right here is being run off of part of the steam boiler anyways. But we're still at our lovely level 8 boiler, and we are doing really well. The only thing that I changed was to keep things at top speed. Rather than doing a large series of gears back and forth, I made one of these rotation speed controllers. So one of these guys is basically just a brass casing and a precision mechanism. And then the only other thing that I did that might be a little bit magical, that isn't really, is you can vaguely see it in there. There is a dimensional tank right there, full of water, and that's where the water's coming from. And so if we look over here in the real world side of things, that water is just being pumped in right here. So yeah, no need to be too concerned about that. But cool that we can add those extra too. I was worried about that. But yeah, so now that little hub down there is not nearly as useful as it used to be, but hey, that doesn't matter. We're still going to love it and use it and care about that anyway. I've also let my sword, my infinity hammer, level up a little bit. And so now our infinity hammer is doing 30 attack damage, which is just absolutely unheard of. I thought that the next tier was supposed to be the 47 one, but they may have changed tiers around since I last played with this mod, because it has been a long time since I've gotten this far into Industrial 4 going. Normally, I think the last time I did this was in 1.16 that I made the infinity hammer. So it's been a moment. Nonetheless, we now have beheading 2. We can go all the way up to a 9x9, which you can see is a larger evoker fang and also a larger kill distance if we killed a bunch of mobs with this. And so yeah, overall we are pretty good, but the next tier up is not for another the next tier is at 3.36 billion RF per tick, so it's a good ways off. Anyways, enough of the ramblings of what happened in between episodes. Let's take a look at what's happening this episode. So if we look through the quest book, we can kind of see the direction we're headed in is to space. And this is exactly what I'm wanting. This is where I want to get to at some point. But first, to do that, we need to get into either lasers, which is what I think I'm going to work on today, is both of the laser variants, or the ether gas coming from Withers from a stasis chamber, which will probably be another couple of episodes away, because that's going to take some time. But lasers are pretty straightforward, and I would love to do this because I think we are overdue, and I think this would help us with a lot of our ore resource issues, because I've been running out and having to do some mining in between episodes pretty regularly. I'm sure you've noticed that you haven't seen me do any mining on camera, and that's because I always go mining for about an hour or two after most of these episodes. So, I use up materials, and so they have to come from somewhere, and so they do. This area in particular is exquisitely laggy. I'm wondering if it's the crusher there. I don't know that we really need it anymore, but we'll get into the industry of this space here probably in another 10 episodes or so. So first things first, I think I'd like to get started with a ore laser base. There are two. The ore laser base will mine up ores, and the fluid laser base will mine up fluids. There are only 3 fluids that it can mine up. One of those is the ether gas that we'll need very soon. Another is crude oil, and it will infinitely harvest up crude oil anywhere in the desert. And so that one, very valuable. And then the last one is in any of the nether lava biomes, you'll be able to pull up lava, which is very cool, very convenient. We're not going to get to that one this episode, I don't think. We'll see. I really want to just set up production for this and make sure that we are going to be able to handle all the resources we get out of this, because we're going to get some raw resources that we're going to have to process manually, and I want to make sure that we do that correctly. You can see that most of our resources are going to come from the overworld, but some of them will only be able to come from the nether, such as the ancient debris. There's a pretty low chance of getting this, at least in general, unless you go to one of these specific biomes and then use the brown laser lens in the nether to get it. I think it is actually, you might end up getting these other 3 as well. Who knows? I can't say off the top of my head. But I think we should be pretty well off if we just run it without one of these laser foci, these laser lenses. I don't think that well, I know that they aren't explicitly necessary, and so we're going to forego them and just let it run on whatever it's willing to mine up for us. This is, however, going to require a new tier of frame. Actually, is it? No, we haven't made this one before. We have. We've done this. We did this for the enchantment extractor. That's right. We're going to need that frame again. And, oh, I haven't checked on my pink slime in a minute, actually. Let's see. How are we doing on pink slime? Oh, well, we are full up. Look at that. 512 buckets of pink slime, but we still only have 40 buckets of liquid meat. It's just taken too dang long. That's fair. I mean, it takes time to do these things. So anyways, we are going to want to get ourselves a advanced machine frame, simple machine frame, and then, of course, the pity machine frame. So let's go and get those real quick. And while I craft stuff up, it has been brought to my attention that I have not put speed upgrades in these yet, and this is a very slow process. So let's interrupt this. I know we were almost done, but I want to show you the difference it makes. So that took so very long to get there, sure. But let's see about getting a couple of these. I think should be good. Probably just 2 of the speed upgrades. And you'll be able to see just how big of a difference that it causes, because it is quite significant, at least in my opinion. We'll go ahead and get that. We'll also need another piece of sugar. And so if we just pull those, then we should be good to go with some speed upgrades. Come on, there we go. So now if we make our second one, you'll see that it is a little bit faster. And that now means that anything we make here will be a little bit faster. A lot faster, actually. It goes from, does it tell me how long? It does not. It goes from several seconds to just a few. So definitely a marked improvement. Let's see if we can just do something like this, and then I can show you one more time what it looks like with and without. Okay, so let's pull this out. If we do all of these together, that's going to be a 15-second ETA. If we do these together, it's going to go down to 5 seconds. So we reduce a 10-second time on each one of these crafts, which is going to be very helpful. Anyways, let's get into, and you are, yeah, okay, cool. Let's get into a ore laser base. We're almost there. We just need 2 more diamond gears. We're gonna need a diamond pickaxe. I don't know if I have one around. I don't. Okay, that's kind of a shame. I did go through and strip a bunch of enchantments in between episodes, so I guess I may not have done such a great job keeping up with those. And now I just need 2 iron ore, which is funny because we have infinite iron, but I don't think I have 2 iron ore anywhere. So we'll go figure out where to get those as well. So I've apparently been letting a bunch of endermen spawn. I don't know how this has happened, but there are a bunch of endermen over here. This is not world spawn, so it's not like they fell into the end portal or anything. This might just be like a chunk loading issue because this is the end of the chunk border and also the end of the Torchmaster torch, this guy, the Mega Torch, the end of that radius. So this might just be a bug. But this is a lot of spicy guys, a lot of big men with the need to steal. I want those onions back. Anyways, here we go. That's some iron. And so now we should be able to craft our ore laser base. That's monumental, and I am very, very, very glad that we have gotten that. Now all we need to do is get ourselves some laser, what are they? Drills? Yeah, the drills themselves, which actually do the work, and then we'll be good to go. So let me get a bunch of gears. We'll get a bunch of other things together. Let's do 8 gears. Let's try to make 8 of these, so we'll do 16 of those, and we'll just wait for things to go. All right, so that should do it there. We get the fluid laser bases. We're going to need 8 more pickaxes. Sorry, I said laser base. I meant the laser drills. That's not fortunate. Oh, well. These can be recycled, so while that was dumb and I was looking at the wrong thing, it's okay. We will still need them for the fluid laser base, and that was totally my mistake. We're going to need pistons, though. We're going to need 16 of those. Where is my brain today? You can tell that I did not get enough sleep because I just made 8 pickaxes that I didn't need, and I was typing 16 instead of piston. So, pro tip, your boy does not get enough sleep. Anyways, that's the quest completed for lasers. But not only is it a quest completed, that is a huge accomplishment for us as we go. So let's go ahead and grab a dimensional chest. And we're going to go and want to get a flux point. I am going to, in the next update, rename these because that's a terrible and useless name. And if we take a look at the dimensional chest that I requested, there we go. If we take a look at how this thing is set up, it is actually really, really cool. And it's also pretty compact. I don't know where I'm going to set this up at, but it is very small. And so hopefully it doesn't have to take up that much space somewhere. And honestly, you know, we could put it like back here in the ground if we really wanted to. I think that would be totally acceptable. And just decorate it up a little bit, make it look really good. So maybe we do that. What you're going to need to do, though, is you're going to need your laser base. You're going to need... Sorry, I forgot about the shape and size of this. This is a little bit different from... not different from what I remember. I'm just a little rusty, I should say. These will place away from you. That is an incredibly annoying thing, but not to worry. We will, in fact, work around this. And I'm going to bump this up a block, like so. And so what will happen is if I take you and put you see if I right-click, it says no target found. If I put you over into the supplementaries wrench, I can rotate these, and now it sees the target, and you're going to start to get these little beams going into it. And so now we should have 8 of these guys. Yeah, that looks right to me. We're going to go and grab some pipes. We're going to need probably a good handful, so we'll go ahead and get that ready. Because this machine here does not get the pipes. It does not require power. These do. So we're going to just set them up in a circle. And then, once we do, we'll get them all wired up together and make sure to put you down, set up as main. And do the same for you. And so now you're going to start to get power and you're going to start working. So you'll see here that there's this thing called progress, and that's going to go up really slowly. That's just from one of these, though. We have 8 of them. So do remember that this will get faster and faster and faster. So now you see 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like, it's going up pretty regularly now. And I believe you can have quite a few of these hooked up. I actually don't know what the maximum is. I'm going to help the logics of the routing out here by only having one possible point rather than making it a circle. And so now with all of these hooked up, you can see this is just zooming along. It's doing a pretty good job. Now we should be able to also use those speed, and there's another one called efficiency upgrades. But you can see that just spat out 1 raw iron. That would be fun if we didn't already have infinite iron, but imagine if it was more than just iron. Now it used to be, and I'm very surprised that it is no longer like this, that you had to have, and I'm going to use these cool star blocks because I think they look really neat. That you used to, at least when I remember, the way I remember it being, have to have this go straight down into bedrock. And it looks like that's no longer the case. There's no longer even a laser that goes down out the bottom of these anymore. So I'm going to decorate this up kind of cool to make this look like it is. Let's get black glass and like black sheet metal also would work for something like this, and just make this feel kind of creepy. Not like creepy, but like dark and spooky, but only slightly. And then we can just do some lighting here. You know, we could do, probably these would work just fine here. And then, I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. I should probably play with this a little bit more. But I do want, so let's grab black dye. Let's grab some glass. Or do we want to just use panzer glass? I think that would honestly be roughly the same effect. I don't know. I don't feel like it would be. Let's grab A class for now, and let's see if that ends up being enough. Ends up being enough for the effect, I should say. I know it's going to be enough glass. How are we doing? So far we've produced more glowstone and some coal ore. And you're probably noticing that some of these resources are not resources in their item form. And so that's kind of where some of the complexity of this setup comes from, is that we still need to process these, and then we're going to actually have to process them a little differently. I'm hoping that black glass will work here. And then what we can do is just have this like so. And there is one thing that I'd like to do. This is something that I haven't really shown off, but is very, very possible. You can rename these. So you see this is the name. I'm going to call this laser drill. And we're going to call this ore laser drill. And again, you know, we're just going to leave everything else there. And that way I know if I need to go look at our network later and figure out what's drawing all of our power, we can figure it out right away. You can see we're getting some sulfur ore in. We're getting a handful of other resources in. I'm curious if 2 layers of panzer glass would be too much. I think it might be just enough. We will see. It's so difficult to see it sometimes. It's my only frustration with it. And you can't see the particles either, so it's a bit of a shame, but that's all right. We can always put black glass in there, and I think that'll look a little bit better. But that was the biggest thing that I wanted to get done today, except that dimensional chest still has to play a role here. So what we can do is we can just put the dimensional chest right on top. Of course, we're going to say owner private. And we're going to tell the output to push out the top. And so now we're going to start seeing our raw ores. And that's fine, great, dandy. You know, it is what it is. But there are still some upgrades we can put here. And I don't know exactly what the depth thing does. So let's see. Or the depth is where the machine will mine. Okay, so we will probably in the end want a couple of these. I'm going to set this one to, can this go negative? That's my question. It can. Let's just do right at, like, 0, because that's still going to get us everything, a little bit of everything. For the most part, I think lapis is probably the only resource we wouldn't get a lot of, and that is I think everyone understands when I say that's all right. We're good. We don't need that. So let's see about that glass, and let's also see about how we're going to process up all of the new resources we're producing now, because we're going to have a lot that we're going to need to kind of clean up, and it's important that we do this correctly. Go ahead and do this. Is that also going to cover up the glass? Oh, shoot. Okay, it is. Well, what if it was normal, I wonder? Is that just a particle thing? Okay, yeah. So these are not going to show up. That's all right. We can make this work sort of, kind of, somewhat. I really wanted that to look extra cool and extra whatever. Oh, you know what, actually? End rods would do that. End rods would give that exact effect of kind of like that cool look that I'm going for here. Now I'll remove this one right here for now because I still need to access that guy because we need to upgrade it. So there is an efficiency upgrade right here that we can craft up. There is one more industrial upgrade. Processing, I don't think applies here. So I think we're good with just these two. So let's go ahead and get some diamond gears. We're going to need 4 of those. We're going to need blaze rods, which I should set up a farm for sometime soon. Going to need those 4 panes, 4 redstone. And then we've got the gears and the sugar. And so that should help us with the throughput here. We should actually start to get more throughput on our laser ore miner than we were before. I think, in theory. Whoops. Speed does not go in here. That's okay. So we cut the progress down from 100, which it resets every time. So this time it says 80 because it's still working on that process that was given, you know, a discount because of the efficiency tier card. But the next one should be 100, as you can see. So then, of course, the proceeding one will be 80 again. So let me see if I can get. I know that the speed upgrade cards can go in a couple of these. For example, this you'll see cuts down a lot. But I want to see if another one of those will work. So let's test that out real quick. Nope, it looks like it does not take multiple, which is exactly what I expected. But, you know, in time we could get the remaining 7 of these upgraded to, you know, this nice little speed upgrade here. Come on. For now, I'm going to grab that one, though. I don't think that's really going to be that big of a deal. So yeah, that is that setup. And so that's what I was mostly worried about this time around, was just ensuring that we were getting that all set up. But now we have to actually process these things, and that's also going to be, I wouldn't say challenging, but definitely problematic if we don't handle it in a specific way. So we can break things, right? So if we actually probably don't want to do this over here now that I think of it. I was wanting to set up a automatic ore cleaner upper guy. We could probably put it back here, actually, because I don't want to do it somewhere where there's already a lot going on, because it's going to constantly cause ticks and stuff. So there is the destructor, and there's another one. It's the opposite of that. It is the constructor. Wow. So the constructor will construct anything that is in the exports list for it. And the destructor will do the opposite. However, there is a fortune card that you can use to apply Fortune 3 to the process of crafting it, or to the process of breaking the block. And that way we can kind of intelligently get through this, hopefully. So right now I'm waiting on some resources, but we'll come back when I finally have those, because, oh boy, this is taking a minute. All right, so here is our fortune upgrade. We also apparently had other fortune books. Wow. We're going to want the destructor, and then we're going to want the constructor. course, we're going to want cables, and oh, well, there they go. That's fine. And probably some facade or laboratory covers, like so. And so what's going to happen here is essentially what as follows. We're going to have a imaginary block here. This will be the ore, and we'll have on this side or some side a destructor with fortune, and we'll have on the other side a constructor without fortune. We'll grab some speed upgrades, probably 2 more, unless we wanted to do 3 in total. I don't really care, but they have to be about the same speed. Otherwise, you know, we're already using 1 card here, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense otherwise to, you know, let one be really fast and then leave the rest to just sort of do whatever. Let's go ahead and get these covers put on. If anyone happens to know how to make this work a little better, that would be appreciated, because it is always such a struggle to get the covers going on the right way. So, like, see, this is not the way that I wanted. And that's okay. It's just somewhat cumbersome, I find. Anyways, so destructor there, constructor there, and we have to tell it what we want to put here. So let's just pull up ore. We have coal ore. Don't mind the iron ore. That is just a temporary from when I grabbed some earlier. Be sure to put in our upgrades. And I'm going to cover up my hotbar so I don't keep having them go in there. We've already got emerald. We've already got diamond. We've got sulfur. We've also got glowstone that I noticed, and that's just going to keep causing problems because this glowstone is not linked to this one. So we're going to add that as well. And if we just put those... Uh-oh. I forgot about this. I forgot that there was only 1 slot in the constructor. So we're going to have to do something a little bit different, and that is A-OK. Here's what I have in mind instead. This is actually potentially cool. I wish I could get my fortune book back, but that's totally all right. What we can do is we can finally use modular routers. I have not gotten to use these yet, so this will be pretty exciting, actually. So we're going to need blank modules. These are pretty cheap to make, and those modules will come in handy very, very shortly. And we're going to need a bunch of steel plates, and we're going to need a bunch of rubber. So we're going to go ahead and get all that requested up. And you'll see why I'm so excited to get into modular routers, because we're not going to need half of this. We're just going to need 1 very fast exporter, exporting in stacks. We're going to need 1 very fast importer, importing in stacks. We're going to need stack upgrades ×2. And we're going to need, well, we already have speed upgrades, stack upgrades, porters should be on their way. And if we look at the router, we can get 2 of those. Perfect. So this will be a very, very, very fast process. And in fact, so fast and so small that we can probably just hide it right here. This is such a simple process to do. I'm very, very excited about this because I haven't done any modular router stuff yet this season, this series. And it is one of my favorite convenience mods. There are very few mods out there like it, as far as just kind of doing everything that you wish other blocks could do, and that is what makes it so very overpowered, and that is why it is locked away. Okay, so I've got everything roughly wired up, so we'll go ahead and put an exporter here, and this one will take the items that we've been wanting exported, and we're just going to tell you export the whole stack, and export it pretty quickly. And over here on the other side, we'll do import, and we're going to say, hey, I want you to import all these items. And you may be, or actually just any item, honestly. And you may be wondering, well, how's it going to know to break it? What's it going to use to break it? Break it. Like, I follow. I understand you. This is just, aesthetically speaking, not doing anything. You're holding on to stuff, and anything I put in here is just going to disappear, right? Like, that's not very cool. But hear me out. There are actually modules for the modular routers, and you can see that. So let's go for a couple of these modules, right? Let's go and do like a placing upgrade. Let's see if there's something like that. There is. It's called the placer module. And if I put this here and I place it in and I hit the C key, I can open up a configuration page that says, hey, place things out in the front. Well, just like that, anything placed, or anytime there's a clearance here, and this is my silk touch drill, so that's ideal, it's going to place it down. And we can make this faster using some speed upgrades. In fact, we're going to go for probably the fastest speed that we can, and that's just going to require more plastic to make those, so that's not that big of a deal. Let's make 18 of these, because each one of these will take 9. And so now you'll see I can barely get a word in before the next block gets placed down. It is so very fast. Well, that's great, but how am I going to break things? Well, with the breaker module. And the breaker module will take a pickaxe, any pickaxe. You know what? Sure, screw it. We'll use a diamond pickaxe, but not just any diamond pickaxe. How about a diamond pickaxe with Fortune 3 on it? And you may be wondering, well, sure, I mean, that's cool, but does that even work? Yeah, it does. So this is the magnificent part of this. If I put Fortune 3 on here, and then I make this, you'll see it's now got an enchanted glyph. So look at the difference here. If I grab just any other diamond pick, one of the 9 that I made, I think, you see that's just going to say normal, just pickaxe, diamond pickaxe, match dropped items, not enchanted looking. Swap these out, enchanted looking, diamond pickaxe with Fortune. So this does work, and it doesn't use up the durability on your pickaxe, and you can, in fact, I believe, request it back. No, you can't. Okay, I couldn't remember that part. But now if I put this down and hit C, and I say break in front of you, it is breaking so quickly, and there's nothing that we need to do about it. It's just going to work now. And so that is the magnificence of modular routers. Have you ever wanted this to exist? Something to exist. Probably has using modular routers. So welcome to modular routers. We hope you enjoyed it. But overall, this is definitely one of my favorites. I'm just going to put some of these framed glass trapdoors that I've been so famous for exploiting in this series because they're just really convenient, like undeniably so. This is going to spit out some experience, which is fine. There are ways to pick that up if we wanted to, but honestly, I'm not too terribly concerned about that. We could put like a bucket of lava we could put a bucket of lava right here if we wanted to, and then items dropped don't actually fall on the ground unless this buffer is full. So as long as it is not full, then we could, in theory, have all the dropped experience fall basically into that lava. We will see. I think for now this is perfectly acceptable. The experience does despawn usually much quicker than it ever comes in, because you can see our production rate is still not the fastest in the world. So there's still, a good bit to be desired here as far as performance goes and speed goes. But for everything that we get, it will be processed pretty quickly, I think at least. So now we can start to watch as things get processed. As we get new ores as well, we have 2 new ores to add. And so adding a new ore is just as easy as coming down here and adding it to the exporter. And I think we only have 1 more ore left. And which one would that be? Let me think. The glowstone. Niter, I think, is the only one missing. And if ever we're not sure, we can just come here and give it a check. And if we ever need stuff fortuned in bulk, we can just put it in here and it'll automatically get fortuned for us. So if ever we were on a silk touching expedition, we could add a second exporter, let's say behind it or on any of the other 3 sides that we have. We have 3 sides of this breaker that we can export stuff into. We could just export it, and anything we ever want only to be in fortune processing first can go to that exporter. So I think that's a pretty cool setup. I personally am quite fond of that one. But really quickly, let me show you how we can recycle all these diamond tools that I have, because I've got a bunch of them now, and I don't need them. I also don't need that, and I don't need that. I don't need that. So let's show you how to restore at least a little bit of your sanity here, while I also make your insanity probably worse, because I forgot all about that guy. I'm having a hard time remembering to use the portal because of the location, I guess. But if we just toss these into the pulverizer, you're going to see that we're actually going to get stuff out from them. It's always going to be 1 diamond, and it doesn't matter what the durability is. But we can at least restore a couple of our diamonds. And as we go end raiding, if we decided to do that again, as we go explore, we're going to get more diamond stuff that we can strip the enchantments off and then steal back the resources from. So I think that's a pretty powerful little setup. I do apologize, but I am a little bit strapped for time today. I am about to go dog sit here in the next couple of days, and I've just been trying to prepare and pack and get everything ready, and I won't be able to record there because I won't have my, very complicated mic set up there. So I am going to have to cut this one a little bit short, and there won't be a video for Thursday. I'm sure you noticed I went from a Monday, Wednesday, Friday to a Monday, Thursday. My wife's been getting really into Splatoon stuff and playing with her friends on Discord, and since we share an office, I try not to conflict with her too much, and vice versa. She does, everything she can to try to avoid the same. And so that does sometimes result in days where I just cannot get in and record like I was really hoping to. So that's not usually a big deal. I can usually make it work, but it does occasionally happen. So that's why we moved from a 3 video schedule to 2, because I do work full time. I do run a handful of side projects, and I do a bunch of other stuff, which y'all already know about. So I do hope you'll understand why this video was so short, but it was also a very powerful video full of a lot of really good stuff that we can just leave sitting around. So I'm going to keep an eye on the ores. If we run into any more that need to be added, we'll add them. But for now, I think that's going to wrap up the video. Thanks a lot for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.